Sasha was very pretty with a slightly angular face, but her height, along with her long arms and legs and lack of body fat from being a track star at our school, gave her a near anorexic look. This was making it difficult for her to find a dress suitable for her frame as well. By now, she had resorted to holding up ridiculous dresses like the one in her hand. You look like you're auditioning for a drag queen competition at Legends, I said, smirking. Sasha laughed and then put it down to search for something even uglier. Since it was less than a month before the big night, we weren't the only group in the store looking for the perfect dress. Beyond Bridal was divided into 4 rooms, or suites as they were called. Mercedes had booked a suite 2 months in advance, which surprised me that a store like this would need a reservation. And though I had told my mom that I would be busy this Saturday trying on dresses, I still had to pick up my younger brother from softball practice at 3. The clock on the wall above the full-length mirror said it was 2:15, giving me time to maybe try on at least one other dress. I think that's the one. What do you think, Emma? Mercedes asked me as she stepped out of the dressing room. The black dress was perfect on her. It had rhinestones and sequins on the hem that caught the light as she moved. Her long black hair and cream complexion, along with her pale blue eyes, stood out against the black satin. Even without makeup, she looked prom ready. Perfect, I said. Mercedes had recently lost 20 pounds from the start of this year. It was weight she had put on from grieving her mother's death from ovarian cancer in early spring of last year. She was still a curvy girl, but the weight loss looked good on her. She had also begun to look happier, and the dress fit just right. I'm posting this, Sasha said, and took Mercedes' picture before she could pose. Wait! Mercedes snapped. I wasn't ready. Less than a moment later, my phone beeped. I unlocked my screen, and there it was, a photo of Mercedes looking like she was about to sneeze. Take that down now, Mercedes said, walking over towards Sasha. Sasha threw a dress at her, laughing, and then went to barricade herself with a rack. The two of them had been more frenemies of late, ever since Mercedes had lost the weight and had started dating Kyle Sanders. Kyle was a jock on the baseball team. He wasn't a star player, but with his good looks and easygoing smile, he was considered one of the top 10 heartthrobs at Eastwick Senior High. I thought he was odd, but no one else seemed to notice. Even though Sasha had never shown any interest in him before, she felt that she should be dating someone like Kyle because they were both black and into sports. I thought this was stupid. Plus, Sasha had a boyfriend of her own. Though Rodney had moved away recently to Savannah, they were still dating. Still, Sasha had told me she was not limiting her options. I had a feeling she was unsure if he would be coming back to prom. Don't! She's going to kill me! Emma, help! Sasha screamed over and over as she ran around the suite. I was about to try and stop them when one of the sales clerks, a fussy old woman of about 30, and some other girls ran into the room. Stop! All 3 of us froze. 2 of the girls I knew from school looked a bit disinterested, yet once they saw us, they began snickering. Tiffany Barrett was looking at her phone and then showed it to Liz Schultz, who started laughing. I was willing to bet it was the pic of Mercedes. You girls need to leave now, the sales lady demanded. I looked around the room and there were dresses everywhere. I hoped none were damaged. I looked back at the clerk, whose face was about to blow from anger. Her mouth was pursed together, making the wrinkles around her lips deeper. I wonder if she were a heavy smoker or drinker. Her sallow skin looked awful with her fake orange tan. Her name tag read Lisa. Sasha and Mercedes and I all looked at one another and started to giggle, which didn't earn us any points from Lisa. I'm buying this, Mercedes said to everyone, and then walked into the dressing room to change. Some of the girls standing behind the clerk gave us shady looks. I was starting to feel bad. Sasha looked like she could care less. You have 10 minutes to buy it and leave, Lisa nearly shouted. Sasha and I walked out of the suite, following Lisa. As we waited at the front counter, Tiffany and Liz continued to smirk and look at us as they pretended to look at dresses. Sasha gave them a glare and then unlocked her phone. She took the picture down of Mercedes and quickly snapped the pic of Liz and Tiffany. It wasn't the worst picture, but it wasn't flattering either. She posted it with the hashtag basic, so quickly it was near supernatural. Liz and Tiffany checked their phones and then glared at Sasha. What are you laughing at now? Bitch, they both said and stormed away. I felt sickly the more I thought about how we had acted. Being the daughter of a former cop, now county coroner, made me more aware of my surroundings and how I was perceived by others. My two best friends, on the other hand, were lucky in that they could just be themselves without caring what their parents might think, though Sasha and I had a bet on whose parents were worse. It didn't take Mercedes long to change. She marched up to the register and flung the dress on the counter with her credit card, daring Lisa to say anything more. Lisa rang up the dress, glaring at us as she did so. Once finished, she told each of us not to come back unless accompanied by a parent. Sasha balked at this. Mercedes looked at her and said, I already bought the dress, then snatched a garment bag from Lisa's hand. I started to feel heat run down my body from embarrassment. After the three of us ran out of the store, Mercedes and Sasha continued to laugh, but I was getting pissed. I have to pick up Ethan at soccer practice, I said, storming off to my car, barely looking at them. You're still taking us home, right? Sasha asked hastily. I had picked them up this morning at Mercedes' house. Sasha had spent the night there. Mercedes would have driven over herself, but her father had taken away her keys. It was something he did when he was out of town. Whereas Mercedes could drive but didn't have access to her car, Sasha wasn't allowed behind the wheel since she had crashed her car a month before while speeding down Highway 64. Her car, a used blue Lexus, was beyond repair. The front end had wrapped around a tree. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured other than her. She had spent a couple of days in the hospital due to a severe concussion. My dad had said she was lucky she wasn't charged with public endangerment. Sasha's parents had taken away her license at the suggestion of the officer who had found her. Now she was forced to bum rides off her friends or even acquaintances. The only plus, she said, was people tended to talk more freely in a car while driving. All three of us walked over one block to my bright yellow VW Golf, a hand-me-down from my Uncle Garrett. My two best friends had half-heartedly apologized. I just got in and started the car, briefly hesitating to unlock it. I didn't want to say anything more about what had just happened. It took us 10 minutes to get to the field. I didn't speak the whole way, but it didn't matter. Sasha and Mercedes were texting the whole ride. Prom by Christopher Tuesday, Chapter 1.